What's going on, everybody? My name is Steve the Dean Williams, and today's boot camp is on Eve's Paradise. Now, you always have to mind my drawing, but this is not about our drawing. This is about Eve's Paradise. It's about her right there. Now, I cannot, no, that's titties and pussy, as you can see. Maybe to give her a little more, give her some hair. There you go. Give her some hair. All right, what you see right here, guys, is what we call Eve's Paradise. Now, what I want to talk to you about here with Eve's Paradise is that, now, you have to understand this, what I'm talking about. What you have to do here is really clear your mind and be open to what I'm about to talk to you about. Because you don't know what you don't know, number one. And number two is that if this secret got out to the world and everybody learned the truth about this right here, this thing they call a woman, if everybody learned the truth about this, the world would change. But it is not going to just change by me telling you this. You are going to have to either experience it yourself, or you're going to have to either pull yourself outside of the matrix that we have been talking about. Number three, this is one of the things that makes us the baddest motherfucking dating site in the world. Because nobody is going to tell you what I am about to break down and explain to you. Nobody is going to break it down to you because they don't want you to know. Because they know if you learned about this and learned the truth about it, then you would stop spending your money on everything that they are trying to put out to you, and they would go out of business. Not only would the seduction community, or excuse me, the deception community go out of business, everybody would go out of business in the dating world. Not only the dating world, but flower companies, jewelry companies, products, Axe Effect. You know, you name any product that puts tits and ass to it would go out of business. And it cannot happen. And that's why I'm just talking to you guys, because this secret cannot get out. It cannot get out. Number one, I don't want it to get out. We do not want this to get out. Because what we're about to discuss, if that got out, everything would be fucked up. Everything would be fucked up. You see, at one point in time, the world itself was ruled by one thing. Man. Man ruled the world. They were the hunters. They were the gatherers. They were the fucking man. From the beginning of time. Before hypnosis and NLP, before computers and beepers and cell phone, Wikipedia, Facebook, MySpace, before color TVs, that person ruled the world. Now, with that being said, I would even say probably 98%. 98% of them ruled the world. Because in life, you have hunters and you have prey. The world could not have, even 98 is going too high anyway, but you could not have the world being 98% man. because we needed pussies. We needed pussies to do things that we men didn't want to do or didn't feel like doing, or we didn't have any responsibility of doing. Now, through that time, you had kings and emperors, and you had them all. And 98% of them, that's too high. Let's take it down to 90%. Let's take it down to 90%. And of that 90%, let's say you add the 10%ers. Now, don't get it wrong. The 10%ers were not bad. You see, the 10%ers right here were the guys that, they too were kings and emperors and rulers. They too were. I'm not saying they weren't. They were. But the difference between these guys that were 10% and these guys that were 90%, there was one difference and one difference only. The 10%ers were ruled by one thing. They were driven by one thing, and that was titties and ass. You see, the 10%ers, yes, they were kings. They were rulers. They were emperors. They were all of these things, but they were controlled by titties and ass. But I don't want to get too much into all this because we got a lot of stuff to cover here on These Paradise. But the world was preferably this. This was the world. 90% man, 10% beta. That was it. And in both groups, you had kings and rulers and emperors. I'm not saying you didn't. You did have those things. But something happened along the way. Women wanted rights. Women wanted to vote, and it spun out of control, and we don't want to get into all that. And there were things that happened how they separated the homes and all that. I'm not here to get in all that. What I want to talk about are the 80s. You see, the 80s, they talk about fitness and, all that mumble jumble that I grew up in. But it was the 80s that started, even with Baby Boom. There was a movie called Baby Boom where a woman was, corporate woman watching a fucking crumb snatching kid. But what these women started figuring out, and they began to quote unquote exhale, these women started figuring things out. They started realizing, and they've always realized this, women from ages and centuries old have realized this, that they have a power. It is this power right here. It is the power of the pussy. They realized that they had power. They realized, and this is through the ages, that they could use this to get whatever they want. They could use this. They could dangle this to get whatever they wanted because they knew that it was nothing but the size of a quarter, but it had so much power